Hi, Timothy Spann here. Today I'm going to be talking about the Milvus vector database, integrating semantic search capabilities with dotnet and Azure. I'm Tim Spann. I'm the principal developer advocate at Zillas. We are the people behind the open source Milvus database. Today we're going to talk pretty quickly about a couple of things related to vector databases and how you can use them with .NET and Azure, and a little background around that and some insights around this. First off, let's get introduced to, why would you use a vector database? Obviously, there's a ton of different places to store your data, ton of different databases. What's special about vector databases? Why would I want to use one? Well, in today's world, obviously there's a ton of data. There's also even more of that is unstructured data. And unstructured data is the new type of data that you see a lot in AI, images, video, text, audio, data that's not created by a computer. It's usually created by people. And it's just data that's a little different from the traditional data sources. And there's obviously a lot of them. Now, vector databases were created to work with this type of data. So they really work well with that. They're not designed for traditional relational data or other data that you're used to, and that's why they came about. What made it possible, though? Well, the reason why we could do vector databases now and not, say, 20 years ago is a number of innovations that have come about very recently. Some of them are the massive storage of documents, images, all the things we have on the internet, video, ton of these different data sources. And then the thing that really drove it that we can make these vector databases is the ability to create vectors. And that requires deep learning models. And a lot of these are very recent in the last couple of years that let us be able to create large vectors of data. Now, this is just really a big array of data, like massive arrays of numbers. And it's the type of data that you don't want to look at as a person, but AI models love this type of data. And it is also works out to be a really good storage format for all of these unstructured data types, images, video, text, what have you. Fortunately, there are modern vector databases that run in Azure and in your other environments, and that's Milvus. Milvus is an open source project that's been around for a number of years. Some of the benefits of it are it's really easy to set up. Code is nice because I can write it once, and wherever you need to run it, you can run it. Integrated with all the different tools, systems, platforms, other databases, data stores, all the different projects that you might want to use, things like LangChain, Llama Index, all those are supported. All the features you need, dense embeddings, sparse, filtering, re-ranking, all the things that you may be reading about for vector search, for vector databases, that's all in there. There's a lot of users of it. It's been around for a while. It has a large number of people working on the source code in the open source. And it's part of the Linux Foundation for AI and Data, which means that there's a community of people working on it, and we're all working on this together. Now, what might you want to use Milvus for? Now, it's been designed to store, index, query, all these vector data, for any kind of unstructured data at an enormous scale. And it has features like advanced filtering, hybrid search, so you could search on a vector plus something else, maybe search on an image plus a description of it or some other fields you might have related to date or time, whatever other kind of more structured fields that you might add to your vector there. It is very durable. It has backups, all the features you expect to have in an enterprise database, replication, high availability, the ability for data to be sharded among different servers, being able to aggregate data, full life cycle management, the standard create, replace, update, delete, all that is supported. Support for multi-tenancy, so you could run in Azure in a cloud environment with a lot of users, a lot of different people querying, adding data, being able to do massive amounts of queries. Because if you're going to hook this up to, say, a system for AI chat, there could be a ton of users out there. Being able to insert and delete massive amounts of data, getting the full precision and recall that you need, and support for all the advanced hardware that we see out there, things that accelerate it, like different GPUs, like from NVIDIA, FPGAs, custom hardware that may be in your Azure environment, and being able to scale up to billions for as much as you need to store, which is important as you start looking at the number of images, video, text data, whether it's little chat or documents. Quickly, those go into the millions and more. So it'd be nice if we just had that. Milvus would be great. But as we've come through the years, a lot of people have enhanced the open source to add things that make it more robust, flexible, to fit almost all the use cases and all the different types of data. Because there isn't one size fits all. There's a lot of different indexes out there for vector search, and we support a lot of them. Right now, it's over 15, and this is things that if you're looking up about vector databases, you'll see them, things like binary, sparse, disk-based ones, GPU-based indexes, ones that run in RAM, ones that run on different type of analytics of the data. Lots of options there. This lets you optimize how you want to search and balance things off, like cost versus performance, being able to tune how accurate the thing with unstructured data when you're searching it. You could set a percentage of accuracy that you want for your matching. And then how you're going to search. There's a lot of different ways to search vector data, and we support the majority of them, whether you're doing the top K number of returns, a range, you want sparse or dense? You want to search across multiple vectors at once? Do you want to group data together? Do you want to use the metadata and extra fields that are in the collection to filter them down? You might have two of the exact image, but they have different metadata. So you want to be able to return just those. Being able to have, like we mentioned before, multi-tenancy, so multiple users, multiple applications, maybe multiple companies, being able to go through the same collections at the same time, but with things partitioned for security, for efficiency, just for keeping your data separate if you're different groups. And with all the different hardware out there, as we've seen in Azure, you got a lot of choices when you're picking what you're putting out for your platform. We support almost all the ones that will improve the speed and the power of the vector search, whether it's quantization, cache-aware optimization, GPUs, which we know they're great for a lot of things. This speeds up your queries, speeds up the inserts, reduce your costs, makes things more scalable, and all that flexibility is there. And again, this is all open source. So there's always the ability for more things to be added by different groups out there. Now, we could search across a lot of different unstructured data, and this leads to a lot of cool different use cases. The most common one, and this one pops up a lot, especially you're working with the different LLMs out there, is having retrieval augmented generation, so you can get the exact data you need to be able to optimize your prompts, get back what you want, tell the model exactly what it should be searching for by looking at, say, a list of documents relevant to your question. What's nice is Milvus is extremely fast, so I do my search for wherever I need to find, semantically get those results back, and then very quickly be able to get that to the language model. That is a really important use case. Doing recommender systems, These are very common. You don't need to have AI for this. Just being able to match things semantically against your different data sources is pretty cool. Just searching text. You might just you have a huge amount of documents stored and you just want to find things and find the right context and the right meaning of things. Is apple a fruit? Is it software? What is it? That's important, and that's part of what Milvus has. Being able to find images that are similar. For me, I'm always searching for cats that look like my cats. You could do the same with video, do the same with audio. I'm trying to find someone that has a voice that sounds like me. I'm probably going to find a lot of people from New Jersey. That's pretty cool. I've seen this one recently, a lot of research in finding different types of molecules by able to spin a molecule, get it to the way you want, and use that to search. Pretty helpful when you're doing research on new medications. Pretty powerful stuff there. Being able to find anomalies. If things are supposed to be similar and they're not, you can find things that are wrong. And this can be lots of different data points, whether it's logs, images, lots of ways to find out if there's faults in equipment or in different systems out there. This one is pretty cool, being able to search multiple types of data at the same time. So I can have an image, a video, audio, text, search it one way and get results back. What's cool with Vector is I could take however you want to search. I could use a keyword. I could use text string. I could send in an image. I could upload a video and say, hey, find stuff that matches this video, or speak and have it match that, or put a combination, multimodal. I could have an image of something and a little description like, here's a cat, and go, give me cats like this, but they're wearing a hat. Pretty cool stuff like that. Obviously, more enterprise things you could do as well, but lots of fun stuff. So Milvus is cool. The great thing is you could use it in the environment you want and use it with the tools that you already know. So fortunately, with the help of Microsoft engineers, we've built out a powerful .NET SDK in C#, and it's about as easy as you could possibly be for you to use it. You just use the standard .NET, add the package, and you're ready to go. There'll be a new version of this in a few weeks, but this one will work with all the modern Milvus versions out there. Make sure you're using at least Milvus version 2 and greater. We always like to use the latest one, as there's always new features, patches, enhancements, speed improvements, and you could click and get that library right away and start using it for your applications. There's also a Semantic kernel connector. I know a lot of people are using this pretty awesome framework for a lot of AI applications. And fortunately, there's a connector there as well. Again, new versions of that coming soon. You could quickly use those as well. Pick whichever one you want to work with. They both have advantages. Try them both, see which one fits your .NET application better. We have an example, and I'll show you a little demo once we get through the slides. Keep all that together. And the code is pretty simple. You connect your client to your host. Now, this can be running local. This can be running in a cluster. This can be running through Zilla's, which has a marketplace in Azure, and I'll show you that. And you'll have, the ability to turn on SSL. We also have a token you could pass in, again, multi-levels of security. Now, we check to make sure that we're able to connect. Then you could easily do a search. Pretty standard, depending on what types of data you want to get back and what data you're going to pass in. Pretty easy to set this stuff. And this is all well documented with online documentation that we'll share with you. So once you've built your app, well, you probably should have Milvus close to where your app is running. If you're running your .NET app on Azure, then you probably should be running Milvus there as well. Now, Milvus has a couple different ways to run on Azure, as you might expect. One, if you're, run your own environments, you really like to do Kubernetes, Milvus has great support for Kubernetes. You could use AKS out there, just using the standard tools you might expect. We've got all the Helm charts and all the things there. And there's good documentation on using the Kubernetes service to host and run Milvus. Milvus is a full enterprise architected application. It has multiple layers that can be expanded out to make sure that you index, search, query your data at scale. So if you need to scale up individual portions to meet needs, like if you have more data storage, or if you have more indexing, or you have more clients that are running queries, you can enhance all those different layers depending on your need for whatever use cases you have, which can vary and can vary at different times. Maybe at busy times when you have a lot of images coming in, you might have to increase the number of indexing, or you might have to increase storage. All that can be done very easily on Azure on Kubernetes. All right, now it makes sense to deploy Milvus on Azure. And if you are someone who runs an enterprise environment, you're probably running Kubernetes already, and AKS is probably the best way to do that. So fortunately, Milvus uses all the standard stuff to run on Kubernetes. You just use the standard tools that you expect, the Azure CLI, Kube Control, and Helm. All the Helm charts and Kubernetes materials are available in the open source, so it's pretty easy to run this, and it's fully documented. And there's also documentation on the Azure site. So pretty easy for you to run an environment this way. This makes it really good for being able to spin up things quickly, being able to expand. This is important with Milvus, as it is a distributed application with a full enterprise architecture. So it has things like proxies. It has different indexing elements. It is separated compute and storage. So there's a lot of different things that you could expand based on what needs it. Like, do you have more storage? Are you running more indexing? Do you have a lot of people querying? And you can expand those sections or bring them down to save costs as needed as different parts of the environment. Now, if you're not into doing that and you don't want to run this yourself, fortunately, Milvus is on the Azure Marketplace. You just go there, pick Zillus Cloud, get it now, a couple of clicks, you get a full cloud environment, fully managed. You don't have to do a hell of a lot of work. This is a great way to do this. Very simple, very easy to subscribe to the Azure Marketplace and have a full managed environment in a very cost-effective manner. Now we have a short video example of that. No audio on that, so I'll show you that while it's running. And then we'll do some demos later, but pretty straightforward. So what you have here is when you've gone to the marketplace, you're going to pick how you want to deploy this. And we dedicated this on Azure. And by default, we do Virginia is the most common. And as you can see, pretty inexpensive, depending on how many cloud units you have. You'll have your environment, cluster will be created, pretty straightforward. You know, you get your credentials and then anyone could log in. What's nice is it's really simple. Put you right into the IDE to start working. And we will show this demo next up, and you'll be able to see a little bit more about that. So again, there's different ways you can run this. Now, if you're a developer or someone learning, you could just run this on your laptop within Docker or local Kubernetes, pretty straightforward. There's also a small standalone version that doesn't require much environment at all. So it's very simple to just start figuring out how to build your collections, what the fields are, how to do searches. Great way to learn things and try things out. Now, as an infrastructure out there, there's a ton of things with large language models. it's more than just I need, a vector database. I need all the different frameworks out there, which could be semantic kernel or LangChain or Llama Index. I need different embedding models. PyTorch has some, Hugging Face, Cohere, OpenAI, ton of different options there. And you can work with all the major LLMs. There's just a couple examples, but there's connectivity to almost all of them, whether it's OpenAI or any of these other ones, run on Intel and NVIDIA hardware, and obviously install on Azure without too much difficulty. Some of the main things to see here is the open source for the community for Milvus is very important. We've got a lot of people come together to make sure this works well, is well documented. You can learn it pretty easy and it's not the heavy lift there. Lots of different use cases, and none of them require the same things. They're not all exactly the same. You're going to require different indexes, different types of searches. What's cool is you can run your Milvus cluster right on Azure. And if you don't want to do it yourself, you could just use the marketplace. It's a pretty good idea to keep your vector database close to where you're going to run your Gen AI and LLMs, which makes sense. You do it all on Azure. And scalability is going to be important for these apps because once people use them, once people like them, it is going to expand greatly before you know it. Almost instantly, you're going to have a couple of users and there's more. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to be able to scale out to, terabytes of data, hundreds of users. That's a good problem to have, but you need something that'll handle that. And it's pretty awesome. What's nice is if you don't want to run anything yet, but you still want to give it a try, click this URL. Just go to Milvus demos, and you can run a demo on top of Milvus. And this one's pretty cool. Is you upload your own image, and as soon as it uploads, it does a search on that and gives you a bunch of results back. So you get to run your own demo without having to set up Milvus, and it's linked to the source code. So when you're ready to try this on your own, you can just download it and get it started. So that's a really cool one. I like that one. The GitHub is there if you want to look at the source code. If you need help, we have a pretty cool Discord channel where we answer questions. We also have an AI bot in there that'll try to answer your questions, but it's not as good as the engineers and the users that we have in there, but gives you a couple of options if you're asking something that's very common or maybe a little different. Thanks for coming to the .NET conference on AI, but let's get into some demos. First off, I want to show you that source code we did. Now I'm in just visual code here, and it's as simple as we showed you. We connect to our client. Here is where it's going to be different. You're probably going to have a much longer link here to get to the host, different port. You're going to have SSL on. You're probably going to have a token for your security. I'm running in a local Docker environment on one of my machines off to the left here, just as that's a good way for demos, so the demo gods don't come after us and take away our cloud, or someone forgets to put their credit card in. It kind of happens in demos. So we do our connection, which very easy to swap that out for different environments, different security methods. Then for this one, we're taking a look if there's a collection. If we have it, we're going to drop it. We want to rebuild it, do this one fresh. So you get a fresh demo here. So we just load the data that we have. We create our collection. What's nice with .NET, we do that asynchronously. Then we'll just iterate through it and print a couple things out. Pretty simple. Now, if we want to build and run it, again, super fast here. It is already built. Not much going on there, and we already ran it. Now we could see the results of this. I have what's called Attendees, which is an open source tool to look at the data. You want to be able to see it once it's been loaded. And that was that collection you saw there, the books. And, it's pretty, we got to load it first. Let's make sure we have it loaded. Once you have it loaded, you can look at the data, get it going, and do a search, browse the data, whichever makes sense for you. What's nice is you could also filter it based on different fields. Like if you have caption here, which is text, you could just filter on a part of it. Again, you could look under the covers, see how many partitions there are, look at segments. If that's of interest to you, probably not. You're more interested in what's your real data there, just to give you an idea. Now, if we're running this environment in Azure through the marketplace, we're using the Zilla's cloud to do that. And very easy to get to your different environments and see all the different collections created. Like here, I have one for travel advisories, and we could see different fields here. This one is a more balanced one. We also have ones where there's image data. So we could look at, just do a little quick preview of that. And you could see all the fields here. Obviously, looking at the vectors, it's a bunch of floats, not too interesting. But for searching, really important that you could do that quickly. Now, if we needed to create a more advanced environment, I could create a new one on Azure, optimize it for capacity, make sure I have backups, figure out my backups, make sure I'm paying people, and then create my cluster. And then I'll have one running on Azure at scale like I have here in the small. What's nice is it's very easy to use this and do whatever you need to do here. Also, if I needed to add new data, it gives me APIs to do that, and also this handy UI. So pretty straightforward to run these things. It is not a difficult or heavy lift here. Hi, and if you like what you see with Milvus and you want to learn more, we have a unstructured data meetup that runs in different locations around the world. And also we stream it to YouTube and to other places later. So you can watch it at your leisure if you can't be in person, but you could still ask questions. We make sure everyone who speaks provides slides and their source code, whether it's a notebook or code, makes it very easy. And you could just click and get right there. I run the one in New York City. We've got another great one in Berlin and another one in San Francisco. And again, recorded for you later, available for everyone. And we talk about things in unstructured data, vector databases, Milvus, LLMs. We get a ton of people from different startups and from different companies come out. It is a great time. On the East Coast, we usually run at Microsoft Reactor. And on the West Coast, we're usually at GitHub. Definitely come out. It's a fun time. We get some pizza and we go over some really cool technology. Fun time. And then finally, give you an opportunity to either run it on your desktop in like a Docker or standalone, or when you're ready to be in an enterprise environment, run Zilla's cloud, just grab it from the Azure marketplace, or just spin it up yourself with AKS. Very easy to get started with vector databases. It's been a great time speaking with you. I'm Timothy Spann, Principal Developer Advocate at Zilla's, covering the Milvus open source database. Thanks for attending my talk.